Hey everybody, welcome to week 4 of the Scars series. On Sunday we looked at the wounds of King David and how the Jesus of the scars, when he meets King David and says, "Me too," how he might bring healing and victory to David. This was an interesting one for me. My question mark is really what possibly could anybody say to David that would cheer him up? We looked at what had to be David's worst day of his life and the bleakest, most hopeless moment, where not only did he lose his son, but his armies killed his son, and really deep down David would know that he was responsible for the whole scenario that had his son die. And in the moment that we looked at when David goes, "Oh, Absalom, my son," you just can't get any deeper into the grief of a parent. And we looked at David's worst day of his life. And so my question is, what on earth could Jesus possibly do to come along and make it better? I think my light bulb moment came when I realized Jesus probably, seems strange maybe, but probably couldn't or wouldn't make it better in the way that we might want him to. That would be impossible. I think that we need to understand there are some things in our lives that we break and then that we can't fix and that we won't be able to fix. And Jesus doesn't come along and say, "They're there, it's all going to be fine," even though we so badly want him to, and even though we know that he can work these incredible miracles in us. So my light bulb moment was basically, maybe I'm looking for the wrong thing, because I'm looking for Jesus to come along and say, me too, and maybe play off of Jesus' own cry of, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Jesus' own betrayals, and those things I would serve to get a dialogue going between David and Jesus, but I don't think there'd be a real moment there where David would go, "Oh wow, thanks Jesus, I feel a whole lot better, even though I screwed up my entire family and it'll never get fixed." My conviction then, out of that bleakness, and in a way it's appropriate because we're in the season leading up to Easter, and so hope is waiting for us, and I'm not too concerned about there being too much hope for us today, except that it's Christianity and it's Jesus, so there always is some. So we go even farther in this conviction, in this arrow, not to the Jesus who came, but the Jesus who is coming, the one who will return and will wipe every tear from our eyes and will give us scars of our own. And we may be absolutely confused, like David would be. Okay, so I have the scar, I remember Absalom, but it doesn't hurt anymore. How does that work? And Jesus just tells us it's going to. That these scars are going to be trophies, that they'll be reminders, but they won't hurt, that he'll wipe every tear from our eye, and he gives us the deep hope that's rooted in faith, that's stamped in the reality of the resurrection, and he just says, "Trust me." Then he puts his Spirit in us as a little bit of a foretaste of what's to come, just enough on really hard days that we can still keep going, and on the good days, so much so that it feels like heaven might already be here. So I don't think that Jesus makes it all better for David, but Jesus is never left with nothing to say and nothing to offer. And so we, like David, need to just hang on even the worst days of our lives to what Jesus is now, and for sure what Jesus has promised that he will be. Grace and peace, everyone. Have a great week with your house church.